years ago, we lit the spark. Today, we are blazing the trail for others to follow. VOP Media is free. 3 years of breaking boundaries. 3 years of being that bold voice that echoes the thoughts of the people. 3 years of telling stories that matter.
We have experienced complete breakdown in democratic governance.
We are not just a brand. We are a movement, giving voice to the voiceless.
We go to bed empty hunger.
To every viewer, every voice, and everyone that has made us who we are, we say thank you. VOP Media, 3 years and still counting. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Well, hello and welcome to the African News on Voice of the People Television. I am David Edwin. Before we begin the news, I would urge you to kindly visit our website, www.vop.ng, for fresh and trending stories. We begin the African News from Castina in Nigeria, where President Bola Tinubu, his counterpart from Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, Nigerian Prime Minister Ali Lamin Zane, and former President of Niger, Issoufou Mahamadou, were among the many dignitaries who attended the burial of former President Muhammadu Buhari in Daura, Castina State. Earlier, African leaders in their separate tributes highlighted Buhari's legacy of service, integrity, and his contribution to both Nigeria and the African continent. The African Union described Buhari as a principled and resolute leader who served Nigeria with honor and conviction. The transitional president of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, offered his condolences, describing Buhari as both a soldier and a statesman who worked tirelessly for the development of his country. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa also paid tribute, recognizing Buhari's efforts in strengthening regional cooperation and integration. Kenyan President William Ruto praised the late leader, his wisdom and unwavering commitment, noting his lasting impact across the continent. Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye called Buhari a prominent African figure in his message of condolence. Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu expressed her sadness at the news, describing Buhari's death as a great loss to Africa. Born in Daura, a present-day Castina state, Muhammadu Buhari served as Nigeria's military head of state from 1983 to 1985. He later returned to power as a civilian president in 2015, serving 2 terms until 2023, when he handed over to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In another development, U.S. President Donald Trump is ramping up his tariff agenda, announcing plans to impose new duties of over 10% on imports from smaller nations, including several in Africa and the Caribbean. The move marks a sharp shift in U.S. trade policy aimed at what President Trump describes as ensuring reciprocal treatments. Lesotho, a small southern African nation, could face tariff as high as 50% on goods exported to the United States. While the tariffs are currently on hold during a 3-month consultation period, concerns are mounting over the potential long-term economic fallout. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick backed the proposal, saying the president intends to handle small nations in the way he believes is most effective. Meanwhile, World Trade Organization Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has urged the U.S. to exempt African countries from the proposed tariff, warning that such measures could severely harm developing economies and reverse years of progress. Still under Donald Trump policy, there are reports that say that Trump's administration has announced the third country deportation of 5 criminal undocumented immigrants from the United States to the Kingdom of Eswatini. According to the Department of Homeland Security, the individuals, nationals of Vietnam, Laos, Yemen, Cuba, and Jamaica, were deemed ineligible to remain in the U.S. due to criminal convictions. U.S. officials say their home countries refused to accept them back, prompting deportation to a third country. In a statement posted on X, DHS described the men as particularly dangerous, although specific details of the offenses were not disclosed. Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, is Africa's last absolute monarchy and has been ruled by King Mswati III since 1986. The country is landlocked by South Africa and Mozambique. In East Africa, 3 Kenyan soldiers have been killed and several others injured after their vehicle was hit by an improvised explosive device in eastern Lamu County near border with Somalia. In a statement, the Kenyan Defense Forces said the soldiers were on patrol along the road between Luunga and Sankuri when their vehicle struck the device. The statement added that the wounded personnel were evacuated to specialized military facilities and are responding well to treatment, though no further details were provided. It also noted that multi-agency security teams have launched an investigation into the incidents. And in Central Africa, where Cameroon's President Paul Biya has promoted several senior army officials to the rank of generals, just days after announcing his bid for an 8th term in office ahead of the October elections. Biya elevated a colonel from the National Gamadarine and 5 army officials to the rank of Brigadier General in a decree. He also promoted a captain in the National Navy to the rank of Rear Admiral. At 92, Biya has been in power for 43 years, and questions about his capacity to govern have become a growing topic of debate. Still, he declared that the best is yet to come as he officially announced his candidacy on Sunday for a fresh 7-year term. Biya remains the de facto presidential candidate of the ruling Cameroon's People's Democratic Movement, of which he is the party leader. Moving on, the Commonwealth Ministerial Action Group has lifted the partial suspension on Gabon, welcoming the country's return to constitutional democracy following the April 12th presidential election. In a statement, CMAG said the Commonwealth Observer Group found that the election largely reflected the will of the people and was conducted in a credible, transparent, and inclusive manner. The group reaffirmed its commitment to upholding the fundamental values and principles of the Commonwealth during a virtual meeting. CIMAG also recommended that Gabon fully utilizes Commonwealth support to promote peace and democratic stability. Gabon held its presidential election on April the 12th, 2025, with transitional President Brice Oligui Nguema declared the winner with 94.85% of the vote. Moving on, London Mayor Sadiq Khan is in Lagos, Nigeria, where he is meeting with creatives and tech entrepreneurs as part of a historic trade mission across Africa. The visit aims to highlight the growing culture and economic ties between the United Kingdom and Nigeria, particularly in the fast-evolving tech and creative industries. The event brought together artists, designers, tech founders, and cultural leaders working at the intersection of innovation and storytelling. Experts say the exchange between the two countries is rich in creativity and knowledge sharing. Khan's visit to Lagos marks the start of a 5-day African tour with upcoming stops in Accra, Johannesburg, and Cape Town. Lagos continues to stand out for its rising global influence in fashion, music, film, and financial technology. Well, still in the news, the Duke of Sussex has met with the Angolan president during a surprise visit aimed at raising awareness for a landmine clearing charity championed by both him and his late mother, Princess Diana. During the meeting, President João Lourenço reaffirmed Angola's support for the Hallow Trust, a UK-based organization that has been clearing mines in the country since 1994. According to Hallow CEO James Cowan, the president also expressed his intention to extend the charity's contract for another 3 years. Hallow Trust gained global recognition in 1997 when Princess Diana visited Angola as a patron of the organization, bringing international attention to the devastating impact of landmines. Iconic images of Diana walking through minefields in protective gear and meeting landmine survivors helped pave the way. The 1997 Ottawa Treaty, which banned the use of landmines globally. Prince Harry, who took up the patronage following his mother's death, recreated many of those memorable moments during his first visit to Angola in 2019, including meeting Sandra Tikaga, a 35-year-old landmine survivor who, 2 decades after Diana, met with her. All right, joining us now to make sense of these stories and more is Barrister Darlington Agumo, who is Voice of the People TV's in-house political affairs analyst and a legal professional. Well, also joining us virtually from Kenya to analyze these stories as well is Mr. Martins Irere Njue. He is a public affairs analyst, financial advisor, CEO and founder, Wealthgate Insurance Agency. Gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you.
It's my pleasure, David.
Thank you so very much, Barrister, for being here. Mr. Martins, a very good afternoon to you.
A very good afternoon to you, sir.
All right. Well, let's get to talking about these conversations. Interestingly, Barrister, I want to start off from Cameroon, where Obia is standing in for another re-election into office. Barrister, this is one of over 43 years in power. The question that comes to mind, according to Paul Biya, is the fact that he did mention that the best is yet to come in his official statement when he announced his candidacy for the next election that would be taken on, that will be happening in October on Sunday. He did make that declaration that the best is yet to come. Barrister, at 90 years plus, is there something Africa is missing, or is there something Cameroon is missing that is yet to happen in that country, Cameroon?
Nothing will happen. The man has developed a dementia. That is the only thing that is keeping him. If not, what is that bird that is coming at 92? The bird did not come when he ruled that country for 10 years, for 15, for 20, 25, for 30, 40. It is now that he's almost at the departure launch that he's talking of the best is yet to come. Anyway, I am very sure, very, very sure, that in no time he will receive the same treatment like Mugabe in Zimbabwe, Abi? Yes. The same military that is sustaining him, they will get tired of him and then maybe quarantine him in one part of his house. Well,
but Barrister, interestingly, I like the fact that you brought up the part of the military. Paul Biya has promoted some personnel in the military.
Yes.
Both from the naval angle and, of course, the traditional army to the post of general, brigadier general, rear admiral, and all of that. At this point, is this a strategic move to consistently hold on to power with these new allies to his side?
Of course. It's only the military. When you see a dictator of this nature, go and check. Behind them are military, nothing else. Behind every dictator is a powerful military group that he has surrounded himself with. So I am not surprised. More appointments may come if he discovers that there are some loopholes somewhere, so that those people will continue to monitor dissidents, our opposition. You know, it's common with dictators, so I'm not surprised.
Barrister, at 92, Paul Biya is gunning for another 7-year tenure in the country, Cameroon. When this tenure, if he gets into office again, he'll be 99. Is there any leader in the world who is of that age and is functional?
You want to break a record. You know, African leaders, they are very good in breaking a record in negative form. I mean, if the man becomes the longest reigning African leader, is that not something for Guinness Book of Record? So these are the things that make them proud, that he ruled the Cameroon for 99 years, for 100 years. And then he will not tell them what he did to Cameroonians, the good things he brought into the country, the legacy he will leave behind. You see, I told you here that these people don't learn. I'm telling you, having heard and seen what happened in Nigeria 2 days ago and what Nigerians are saying, do you need anybody to tell you that, look, the world has moved on, that your legacy will be speaking for you when you exit? Do you need? No, but they will not learn. You know, they say power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Right. Good. So when they have acquired so much power and wealth, in fact, they now start behaving like God and think that nothing will happen. The people don't matter. But when they exit, they will not know that the people matters. I am sure what Aisha is hearing today about the husband, she will not be happy with the children. I'm sure most people would have told them hell on their Twitter pages and whatever. People would have been talking to them there.
Or is that what you are referring to as what happened in Nigeria?
Of course, what else? Is that not the biggest news that happened in Nigeria 2 days ago? So when you hear this type of thing, you now begin to pity African leaders who are still towing the same line. They are going through the same route. That man has family, Paul Biya. The family are going to bear the brunt when he exits, because whether he like it or not, he must exit. It's a question of time. If the people of Cameroon have been so patient for him, I think one more time will not be too much. So he will leave that office one day, or the office will leave him. There are no two ways about it.
All right, let's take this conversation to Kenya, where Mr. Martins Iwere is with us. Once again, Mr. Martins, I know you are conversant with this conversation, and what comes to mind is the fact that economically, in 2023, Cameroon experienced 3.3% of an increase in their GDP, something that a lot of persons have said should have been a bit bigger and greater. But there are some economic dynamism concerning that particular country. You as a finance person, looking at that kind of figure, and the man Paul Biya is deciding to run again at 92 for another 7-year term in office. What's your overall view of this conversation?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edwin. First and foremost is my condolences to His Excellency and to the people, President of Nigeria, for the passing of Your Excellency Buhari. He was a man that was steering the Africa policy to counter terrorists and the economic at large. So my condolences to people and the President of Nigeria. Coming to Cameroon, it is to see a president who don't want to exit. He is waiting the death to exit him from power. And in this regard, this is what I call elite state capture. And when these state elite capture are in power, economically, the country or republic doesn't do well economically. Even in fostering ties with the other international community, it becomes earned. Because this is a person that is drunk in power. And yet, if he exits power without wealth, without what he has accumulated, he feels that the country can take another turn against him. So these are elite state capture who have silenced the country, who have suppressed the will of people, who have suppressed democracy to work for the Republic of Cameroon. So Biya that is what underlines him is being a dictator, a person who doesn't want to see his country fostering economic policies, security strategies, and all what can promote the economy. So this is elite state capture that are trending and selling fear to the people. And in that, we can see these are elite state capture.
Now,
so there are people. Yes.
Go ahead. Finish your thoughts.
So what I'm saying is, there are people are silenced victim of poor system of education, poor system of health, economic, politics, democracy, and we can say what we call peace. In this is not the peace. Is the silenced victim.
Okay, now I'm still going to stay with that particular line you just used, silence victim. They're going into the polls in October, and interestingly, Paul Biya has decided that he's going to run in that same election. Is there a possibility that the people of Cameroon are maybe seeing something different as against what people outside Cameroon are seeing? Plus, if again you said the people have been silenced, can they get it right in the election in October?
You can see the underlining of this news is that this man has seek another tenure in power. Right. Secondly, you can see what is happening. He has started to reshuffle the officials in the military and in the security forces. That means this is a person that is trending in the dictatorship kind of system. Because once you reshuffle or you start changing or bringing rotation in the security forces, it means that you are selling beer to the people. Because now there is no man or woman that can arise and to counter these policies or this seek of tenure in power. That means that even people are kidnapped, but no one can speak. We can see there is violation of human rights. No one can speak because the dictatorship kind of a system is that dominate in such republic. So you might think the Cameroon people are at peace, everything is going well, but they cannot speak it because what will happen? You'll be kidnapped, or you just vanish mysteriously.
All right then. Now, well, I'm going to sit there with you before I come to the studio. There is a story that is presently ongoing about 3 Kenyan soldiers that were killed and, of course, several injured after a vehicle was hit by an improvised explosive device in the eastern Lamu County near the border with Somalia. I don't know if you're aware of that story, but we understand that these explosives, of course, were mounted by the Al-Shabaab group that has been terrorizing Somalia for a while. What is the position of the Kenyan army? Plus, what's the body language of the president as concerning guarding and, of course, protecting the borders of Kenya and Somalia?
Yes, Edwin, you have to understand that Al-Shabaab has been done in Kenyan or our republic fresh. It's done on a fresh of our republic, and it is something that we have tried to fight it tooth and nail. You can see from 2020 2010, that where our former president Kibaki came up with a policy to counter terrorists, and I would encourage the Africa at large to counter any terrorist threat across our borders. Because when this system of terrorists drive, it brings threat to our politics and to our economy. In Kenya, it is sad that after all, we have taken a big or a very long stride to counter these terrorists. But it happens there are those that are getting in through malicious or connection through politics. This even Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, they have what we call political interest. So you find they are whereby there are those kind of group hosts that happens, and this is one of it that has happened in Ramu, whereby we have lost some of our military personnel. But I want to assure you that Kenya is in Somalia for more than 10 years, and we have seen a very great development on that, because this was threat to our economy, they are threat to our neighborhood, and we have tried to counter it and to terrorize all their network across our borders.
All right, then. Let me bring it back to the studio here. Barrister, this is a conversation that almost all across Africa, we hear of insurgency, and of course, this terrorists get into countries and taking over cities. Interestingly, this happened just a couple of hours ago at the bordering between Kenya and Somalia. But let's talk on the part of political will and political interest on the part of governments in Africa, allowing some of these terrorists take their stronghold in countries like Somalia. Most importantly as well, let's also bring it back to Nigeria, where, if you would recall, the Turkish government has warned about a new terrorist group, Fethullah, that's the name of the terrorist group, and they said this new terrorist group is in Nigeria, exists in Nigeria, and also operates in other countries around the world. This conversation about terrorism and the political willpower of not stamping it out, what do you think is the reason for all of this?
Weak leadership. Most African leaders are so weak that they can't even deal with ordinary, border skirmishes with their neighbors and all that. Not to talk of a full-fledged terrorist war. That is the only reason. Go and check. By the way, why don't you see terrorists in the Western world, where they are so rich and all that, they can make more money? They dare not. They dare not enter those countries because they know what will happen. So African leaders are so weak. Most of them are even sustained by one terrorist group or the other. Most of them. And so when they get into office, their primary objective is to go and collect their own share of the national cake, not to lead the people. That is why when they get into office, they are so weak to challenge anybody.
Barrister, weak leadership you did mention, but interestingly, the Turkish government warned that members of this terrorist group known as Fethullah terrorist organization does exist in Nigeria and of course some countries in Africa. Are we saying that with this kind of knowledge, with this kind of intent being given by a Turkish government that is not even in Nigeria, Barrister, what is the administration of President Bola Tinubu doing, from your perspective? What are they doing to stamp out insecurity? Because the last time we heard the president gave a directive to his service chiefs to go to Benue and, of course, fish out perpetrators of that dastardly act that happened in Benue recently.
Are you serious? As we talk to you now, have you not heard what is going on in Plateau State, where 30 human beings have been lost? That's between yesterday and this morning.
Yes.
So, after all the other, what happened? No, tell me. You are talking of Turkish government. Look, if I were the Turkish government, I wouldn't even bother myself. Because, what's it called? UAE, they gave you 400 names of terrorist sponsors in Nigeria. I mean, in Nigeria, they are here. For 8 years of Buhari, he did not even open that list, not to talk of prosecuting those names. And in what's it called? In Tinubu's government, the list is still missing. Nobody has opened it. Nobody has been prosecuted. What does all this tell you? It is either the government of Nigeria are complicit in these terrorism activities, or they have partnership with the terrorists. There's no other way to describe it.
But the presidency, barrister, has said that they have, the much that they can, reduce the level of taking over of local government as it were in the past administrations that have come before them.
You know, they have a way of praising themselves for doing nothing. They have a way of praising themselves for being nothing, for doing nothing. You have 5 to 6 terrorist organizations operating in your soil. Up to today, we are not told that one of them have left. We have not told that they have been able to eliminate all the Lukarawas, all the Boko Haram, all the ISWAP. They are still active in Nigeria. So what is this noise that they have done? What did they do? When these people are still operating here?
Are you saying, barrister, that they've not done enough to stamp out insecurity?
They have not done anything, not to talk of enough. They have not done anything. David, they are just trying to please themselves by giving themselves accolade. Or do you want them to come out and tell you that they have not done? It is left for you to know. A whole president will give a marching order and nobody will obey him. Go and tell me that Donald Trump will tell the American Marines, American military, that he does not want one single terrorist in America. And then the following day, the same terrorist will strike. No, tell me. And Donald Trump will be looking at them. He will sack in fact, anyway, let us even leave that area. It cannot happen. It can never happen. But here, how many times have Tinubu given marching order to your military? How many times? If you are told that after what happened just of recent in those two states, Benue and Plateau, that the killings are still going on, will you believe it? Will you believe it? You can see. And yet nothing will happen.
But then again, barrister, what can the people do in a space and of course a time like this? You would recall the National Youth Council president on the Breakfast Show did say that it is not about time that the people should go carrying out placards to burn down the country and all of that in the name of avoiding protests. What can the people do at this point?
What can we do is to elect leaders. They are all over Nigeria. There are people who want to repair this country, who want to do the right thing. If we insist with our vote that, look, this is what we want, it will happen. But most times, people don't even know what they are going into until they have made the mistake and start crying later. These people that are doing all this from Buhari to Tinubu, were they not elected by Nigerians? Was it not under their word that insecurity escalated? So that will tell you that most times we are even the problem, the people. Whatever we do is born out of religious, ethnic, or tribal sentiments. These are the things that is killing us. Because your brother is there, you don't see the evil that he's doing in office. You won't see it now. You won't see it. Even though you are dying and suffering under his government, you continue to support him. Is that not what is going on? Go and see how they are promoting Tinubu in social media. Trying to promote him for a second term. With all that is going on today, David. In fact, human beings. And I realize why God said that he made a mistake by creating human beings. Seriously. Oh,
well, barrister, let's get to another conversation because of our time while we wrap this up. Interestingly, the U.S. government has deported 5 migrants to Eswatini. And that conversation, while I was reeling it out, barrister, it clearly looked more like some countries, the countries where there's accused or condemned criminals, let me use that word, come from and hail from, those countries rejected their citizens. But then the US decides to take these same people to third world countries. From your perspective, Barrister, what do you think is the undertone of the acceptance of these migrants into these countries? First off,
your country or your continent have become a dumping ground for refuse. Didn't you hear what they said? Even their own country rejected them.
right.
David, their own country, their own government rejected them, and Donald Trump had to look for African nations. Of course, it comes with a what? With a token to sustain them.
Sustain who except
the people that they are bringing, just like they did in Rwanda.
Right.
They must give them something to to water the ground and then come and dump. In fact, what I can call subhuman beings. When your country have rejected you because of your criminal tendencies, what does that tell you? And it has to be Africa. Can't you see? They are dumping terrorists on this continent. Then tomorrow, the other person from Russia will say that Africa is a burial ground. Look at it, because you don't have leaders. David, you don't have leaders. Because of a crumb from the table, you accepted rejected prisoners.
Well, Barrister, I'm going to still come to you on this particular conversation because of our time. Let me go to Kenya. Mr. Martins, on the same story, according to the Department of Homeland Securities, the individuals, of course, the nationals of Vietnam, Laos, Yemen, Cuba, and of course Jamaica, were deemed ineligible to remain in the U.S. due to criminal convictions. But their countries accepted them. In their words, they say, look, if these guys they committed this crime in the U.S., let them serve their time in the U.S. But America has decided to push these people to the country of Eswatini. What's your position with this conversation, Mr. Martin?
Yeah, thank you, Edwin. I want us to understand that these people are being called criminals, and we are not told that they are drug traffickers, they are criminals. I want to urge you that these are the people that are promoting terrorists in Africa. They are people who are promoting counterfeit goods in the industry through the network of terrorists, so that they can be able to suppress the country through political interest. These criminals, they have allies in African republics who want to take power in the governmental possession. So these are the promoters of the network of the terrorists in our republic or in our continent, Africa. And now, from the U.S. perspective, they have noted that these criminal should not have their foothold in the United States of America. So the way forward is to deport them. And now when this country or republic accept them, they become threat to the same republic.
All right. Well, because of our time, really, I want to still ask you, how do you think the U.S. can balance, policies as concerning repatriating condemned criminals to third world countries like Africa, like some countries in Africa? How can the U.S. balance this and not, still fight and go against the sovereignty of these countries?
I think nothing what has been happened from Trump getting into the office, this now will come into a point where the diplomatic ties will take effect, whereby the countries will make policies that will enhance how to counter these criminals and to come with a way of how to deal with them going forward.
Okay, then. Let me come back to the student, of course, round this up with Barrister. Barrister, the country Eswatini, formerly Swaziland, is landlocked with South Africa and Mozambique. There is also the conversation surrounding the row between the president of the U.S., I'm talking about Donald Trump, and South Africa. Also on the part of the connection of BRICS with South Africa and the white farmers' genocide that has been allegedly accused of South Africa of South Africa having in that country. Do you think this kind of decision by the U.S. is somehow trying to give some insights, or maybe trying to poke South Africa?
If we have a strong AU, it is AU that will come to these countries and say, look, we don't want this type of people here. If you don't want them, then you can find a way to build a colony somewhere in America for them. Don't bring them to Africa. We have enough problem already. But you don't have an AU. That Swaziland, that was the last absolute monarchy in Africa.
Right.
The man's name is in the name of the country.
King Swazi.
Good. Go and see what will happen there in the next few years now down the line. Especially those people that came from Laos.
Yes.
If you remove Elo and put CH, it has become chaos or chaos. That's what you are going to see there. Those people that are bringing there, you think when they come there, they will behave themselves. No. They are going to cause problem and then mess up that quiet and that peaceful environment. You will see what will happen. Because nobody told me that they have been radicalized. They are still the same person. I said for their own country to reject them, David. Is that not a red signal? Red signal. But they are dumping them in Africa.
You did mention the part of not having strong leadership in Africa.
Of course.
Is there the possibility that the AU now can start having strong policies as against this kind of discussion from the West to African nations?
Please, who is the chairman of AU now?
The president of Angola, Lourenço.
Good. And you know what's going on in Angola? Is that the right person that will start talking about these things? He doesn't have the might. He doesn't have the moral ground, the integrity to confront the West. That is the only thing. Corrupt leaders have made themselves more corrupt by what they are doing, and they have made themselves ineligible to confront the West. It's when you have a strong leader that have moral stand, that can go and talk to, look, you these people, stop. But they cannot. Their money are there with them. The money they stole from Africa are in the West there. So if they talk too much, they will expose them.
Quite unfortunate, Barrister. This is where we have to draw anchor on the analysis segment of the African News this beautiful afternoon. Well, we've been talking with Barrister Darlington Agomo, who is Voice of the People TV's in-house political affairs analyst and, of course, a legal practitioner right here in Nigeria. And also, all the way from Kenya, virtually, we're talking with Mr. Martins Iwerenjue, who is a public affairs analyst and, of course, a financial advisor, the CEO and founder of Wealthgate Insurance Agency. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for being here.
My pleasure.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Martins, for being here as well. All right, this is where we have to draw anchor on, of course, the analysis segment of the African News. We're going to quick break right now. When we return, we're talking about African business stories and sports. Do stay with us. We're glad to have you back. It is still the African News right here on Voice of the People Television. Now to some business stories. The International Monetary Fund has raised concerns over Ethiopia's ambitious reforms program, warning that dwindling donor support could stall progress. In its largest report, the IMF acknowledged Ethiopia's progress in cutting subsidies, tightening monetary policies, and advancing tax reforms under its $3.4 billion loan deal. Despite meeting key benchmarks, the country faces growing risk, including a widening parallel currency market and persistent security instability, which could derail its recovery. The IMF emphasized that Ethiopia, still in default, must secure broader debt relief after reaching a tentative agreement with official creditors. Still talking business, Zimbabwe's Kuvimba Mining House will now develop its Darwindale Platinum Project as an open pit mine, shifting away from the previously planned underground operations. Originally launched in September 2014 by former Presidents Robert Mugabe and Russia's Foreign Affairs Minister Sergei Lavrov, the project was designed as an underground mine with an initial cost of about $450 million. It was said to become Zimbabwe's largest mining venture. However, the project hit a setback in 2022 after Kivimba, Russian joint venture partner, pulled out on global prices for platinum group metals used primarily to curb vehicle emissions collapsed. And to wrap up the African news, we'll be going straight to talking sports. Atletico Madrid are actively pursuing Nigerian forward Ademola Lookman from Atalanta, with negotiations ongoing despite the club's recent signing of Thiago Almeida. According to transfer expert Fabrizio Romano, Atletico have remained in contact with Atalanta in recent days, signaling strong interest in the 27-year-old, seen as a potential replacement for departing forward Angel Correa. However, the details remains dependent on further player exits and agreements on the final transfer fee. Lookman, the reigning CAF Player of the Year, has been a standout performer for Atalanta, registering 52 goals and 25 assists in 118 appearances, including a hat-trick in the UEFA Europa League final last summer. Still talking sports, elsewhere, Al Ahly have announced the signing of 3 new players, including experienced striker Mohamed Sherif. Sherif returns to the Egyptian Giants on a 5-year deal after a 2-year stint with Saudi Arabia's club Al Khalij. The Cairo-based side also confirmed the signing of defender Yassin Marea from Farco, where he was a key player. He has also signed a 5-year contract. Additionally, Al Ahly strengthened head coach Jose Riverio's defense with the signing of left-back Mohamed Shokri from Ceramica Cleopatra. Al Ahly will be aiming to defend the Egyptian Premier League title and reclaim the CAF Champions League in the 2025-2026 season. And with that sports story, we've come to the end of African News right here on Voice of the People Television. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are at Voice of the People TV, and on all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Thank you so very much for being a part of this broadcast. I am David Edwin. Do have a good afternoon.